Welcome to Golf Training Hacks and part 2 in our series on improving the function of the spiral line. When you're trying to improve your golf swing rotation and power production, it's helpful to think about muscles not as individual units controlling individual joints. Rather, think of them as a system of systems with communication networks. Obviously, the most important communication network is the central nervous system, but an often overlooked network is the fascial line network. So what's a fascial line? Well, a fascial line can be thought of as a network of innervated connective tissue that forms a mesh over your muscles. And it infuses that mesh into the muscles, and that helps integrate movement. Now, fascial lines can start from the bottom of your feet and work all the way up to the top of your head. There are superficial lines, which are closest to the outside of your body, and there are deep lines. Now, these fascial lines can be helped by using soft tissue techniques to reduce the tension and stiffness in these fascial lines. And when you're doing that, you're also helping improve the blood flow and reducing the stiffness and tension of the muscles associated with those fascial lines. In this video series, we're working on the spiral line. And clearly, just by its name, that's pretty important for rotation. So what's the spiral line? The spiral line starts at the top of your foot. It works along the side of your shin, kind of like this stripe. Works along the lateral thigh, like this stripe, goes to the lateral hip, works across the front of your hip, across your torso, into the opposite side ribs, and up the opposite side back into your neck. In part 1, we worked on the middle section of this spiral line. We worked on the lateral thigh, lateral hip, and the front of the hip. In part 2, in this video, we're going to work on the front of the hip, but we're going to go across the torso into the opposite side ribs and then work our way through the back and up into the neck. In part 3, we'll work on the top of the foot and the shin. So let's get to work in this video on the upper portion of the spiral line. In this section, we're going to work on the upper portion of the spiral line. We're going to go over the front hip again, and then recall the spiral line is going to go across your torso into the opposite side ribs, and then up into your back and into your neck. So you're going to need a roller and some type of ball. You could use a softer ball than this possibly, but a soft ball. You could use a tennis ball, lacrosse ball. There are balls that have spikes in them. You know, if you haven't done these before, I would recommend you use something softer. Okay, so we're going to start working on the front hip. So remember, the spiral line is going to go from here, up here, across like this, and up your back and into your neck. So what we're going to be working on is this, into the back, into the neck. Now remember, you have to spend time on these movements. You can't do it for 30 seconds once in a while and expect to get some change. All right, you need to spend time. You could do it when you're watching TV. You don't have to make it a job. Even 10 minutes would help, but doing it for a minute is just not going to help. You can spend time on one section. You don't have to do the whole upper portion of the spiral. You can just work on your hip or work on the ribs. You don't have to do the whole thing. And in this video, I'm just going to demonstrate the techniques that we're going to use. I'll do them rather quickly, but you need to spend time. And if you have some tenderness or pain in an area, let's say it's an 8 out of 10, well, spend some time on that area and make it a 7 or a 6. So the next time you come back, maybe it's a 7, spend time, make it a 6 or a 5. So you don't have to do the whole area. You can just pick one area and then work on that. So now we're going to work on this front hip. So the spiral line is coming from the top of your foot up here. It's going across. We're going to work here, and then we're going to go to the opposite side rib. So we're going to work the abdomen first. So you're going to put the roller just beneath your ribs on your abdomen, and you're going to just get used to the feeling of it and work across it and try to relax into this. And you may find it's pretty hard to relax into this. So we're going to use our breathing technique first. You want to take a deep breath in through your nose. And you want to exhale through your nose longer than your inhale and try to release fully into this roller. Exhale should be longer than your inhale. If you inhale for 3, exhale for 6 seconds. Don't be dogmatic about it. You don't need a timer. But just make sure that the exhale is longer than your inhale. When you exhale, it's a relaxing signal to your nervous system that the position you're in is okay. It's not a threat. So the nervous system isn't going to tense up. I mean, if the nervous system is tensing up, if you're in that fight or flight sympathetic mode, it's really hard to release, right? You need to get into the parasympathetic side of the nervous system. It's like 2 dials. Sympathetic, parasympathetic, they work in tandem. They're not totally shut off. But when you relax, you want to dial up that parasympathetic system with the long exhale. If you need a pillow or another roller to make yourself more comfortable, then that's great. You do that. Okay, so now we're going to go on this lateral hip. Okay, so now I'm on the hip, just below the rib cage, and I can do the same thing. Take a deep breath in and see if I can release fully into this muscle and fascia. As I said, many people will not be able to release. It's going to be tough. Okay, so if you can't, you can't. What you can do then, if that's difficult, you can put an isometric contraction into this. So I'm going to take a deep breath in, and I'm going to contract. 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000, and exhale and relax. The contraction doesn't have to be a full contraction. 20 or 30% of your effort would be fine, and you can just do iterations of that to loosen things up. Whenever you're working on releasing, isometric contraction with breathing is a great way to get some effective release. All right, so now we can scrub across this muscle and fascia. You can go forward, bunch up the fascia and skin and muscle in the front. Okay, I'm going to roll back. I'm going to bunch up that fascia, skin, and muscle in the back. There's a bunch there. I'm going to roll over that. Come here, roll over that bunch, so I can pull away, push to you, pull away, do it slower, push to you, or you can just scrub. You don't have to do it. You can just scrub back and forth. You can change the position, get a little lower towards the pelvis, a little higher towards the ribs. You want to even orient this roller in that spiral line orientation. Okay, so we can work that. Once you're here, you want to put some rotation into this. So you can prop yourself up, look away, take a deep breath, and release. Now I'm not lifting off this roller, I'm pressing into the roller, tacking that fascia and muscle and connective tissue down, and I'm rotating. Okay, so I'm pressing in and rotating. Now I'm going to press in and rotate this way and take a deep breath. I'm not lifting off, I'm pushing in and release. Okay, so we can get some movement in here. Release. You can do it with movement and release. Or you can hold. Deep breath in and contract. 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000, and release. Okay, so that's that. Now we want to go up into this rib. So we were here, working here. Now we want to go up into this rib cage. This is similar to what we did when we did the video on releasing the trunk. So now we are on this opposite side rib. Same thing holds. You can just breathe into a position. If this feels stiff and tight, you've rolled up and down, you've tried to find some areas that are stiff and tight, you can breathe into this. Try to get a full release. Now remember, your ribs kind of go perpendicular into the sternum and then they run up like this. So given this spiral line is running like that, you can orient the roller so that you're getting in between each rib and you get in the muscle in between the rib, and you can, when you're on your side here, begin to go in the orientation of the spiral line and do that scrubbing, or you can pull to you. I'm pulling to you. I'm going back. I'm pulling away from you, rolling over that bunch of tissue. Okay, so it's the same patterns, right? The same patterns that we're doing. Now, when I'm rolling on the front, because what happens is the ribs move like this, I'll straighten this thing out. Now I'm oriented how the rib is oriented, and I can scrub back and forth on this. Or I can take my deep breaths. You can just breathe into this. Okay, so it's the same patterns. Now we're going to go to the lat. Okay, that's that big muscle is attached. The lat muscle is attached here, underneath your arm, into your hip. So let's work on the lat a little bit. So now we're going to do the same technique. I'm going to pull to you, bunch that tissue up, roll over it, pull away from you, bunch that tissue, roll, and I can work this lat muscle. Okay, so now we're getting towards the back. Again, if you're having stiffness, you can contract and relax into that. So I'm on a spot. I can take a deep breath in and contract. 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000, and relax. Contract, relax. I can scrub across this muscle. But rolling up and down like that is good to find an area that might be tight and stiff and painful, but it's not so effective when you're trying to get a release. Okay, so we've gone here, we've gone across here, we've worked this the ribs, we work a little bit of the abdomen coming across here. Now we're working up towards the back. So now I'm going to get on my back, but I'm not fully on my back. I'm still on like the side of my back, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pull across. I can scrub, change the position. Again, if you want to, work the spiral line a little bit more towards the orientation of the fascia, you can move that roller oriented how the fascia is oriented, and then you can scrub, contract, take a deep breath in, contract, 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000, release with the release of the contraction, long exhale. You can scrub, as I said, you can go back and forth like this. All right, so now we've worked, you could go towards the bottom of your rib or all the way up to the top where you're kind of towards the deltoid. I mean, this spiral line is coming up that far, so you can do the same thing up that high, right? So once you've worked that, now we have to go into the neck. So the spiral line is coming across here, it's going up your back and into your neck here. So what we're going to do is take some type of ball, take this softball, and I'm just going to work this area in my neck. Again, you don't have to do all this at once. You can just work your neck if you want. You can just work the hip. You can just work let me just move this microphone. Okay, so now I'm going to put this ball here, and I'm just going to try to trace the bottom of the skull. All right, and deep breath in. It's a lot of the same techniques. We're doing the same thing. We're not really going to contract, relax here too much, but I'm just tracing the bottom of the skull, trying to work that tissue off it. So I'm actually, in a sense, doing what I did when I'm bunching up the tissue. I'm dropping my head forward. That's kind of what little tissue is there. It's bunching it up towards the middle of the neck. Then I'm rolling across that. Then I'm trying to roll this way. And I'm going to go a little lower. This is really a good release to do irregardless of the spiral line, because many people at their desks, hunched over at their desks all day, and that head is protruded forward, and these muscles and connective tissue holding that head back, it really worked and stretched and fibrotic, and just it becomes very painful. So you might find that this actually is a pretty painful thing to do. All right, so we work the upper portion of the spiral line. Whoop. Okay, so the spiral line starts here, starts at the top of your foot, goes up here, it traverses here, it's going to go across the hip, across here, up here, from the back and into your neck. Spend some time on this. It's really going to help you with rotation. You don't have to do it all at once, but whatever you're spending time on, whether it be the hip or the torso, wherever, the neck, you need to spend some time. At Golf Training Hacks, we not only want you to play better golf, but we want you to move better and feel better every day, so you can play the best golf of your life for the rest of your life.